Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I-Man here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, and Rovi. And today we're going to be talking about something that's we know a lot about.
It's been in our minds. Actually, not just in our minds. We've publicly stated in the past.
Right.
I mean, a lot of things metaverse related, but I guess specifically to this topic, I guess something we what's the word I'm looking for? Identified as like a next phase need for the overall metaverse space, right? It's a set of standards and frameworks.
Yeah, so recently, I think as soon as Mark Zuckerberg changed Facebook's name to Meta, all of a sudden there's been a bunch of predictions from hedge funds, a bunch of predictions that the metaverse is going to be another sector of the economy in the realm of $8 to $12 trillion.
Yeah, first it started with one. That got everyone salivating.
Grayscale was $1 trillion,
and then all of a sudden, I think Goldman came out with
Goldman Sachs
$8 trillion. And it was like, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah, in that same document, they predicted anywhere between 8 and 12 trillion,
something like that. Yeah, and so of course that got everyone's chops salivating, right? Like, how do I get my piece of that pie, right? So,
but you know what's interesting is that right now the crypto market in total is less than 1 trillion.
Yeah.
And so to me, this implies that the metaverse is not only exclusive to crypto.
Absolutely not.
And owning.
And to be honest, most of these predictions are not even, in my opinion, not even really factoring in the blockchain crypto side. I think they're mostly considering like the video game industry as like this is the evolution of it, and, because it is an existing multi-billion-dollar industry.
Mm-hmm.
They're just kind of extrapolating from there.
So there's going to be two sides to everything, right? There's going to be the metaverses where you kind of just enjoy for entertainment, and then there's going to be metaverses where there's more ownership and responsibility.
Yeah, I think us on this side of that equation recognize that like a much bigger core component to like the virtual realm is going to be the digital economy, right? But according to us,
it just seems weird though, because now they're doing it. Now that we have 10 years of crypto, all of a sudden metaverse is a thing. Why not 10 years ago? Why now though? So I guess what I'm trying to imply here is that because of crypto, there's this prediction and there's all this stuff about $12 trillion metaverse, right? That's like.
Okay. I see what you're saying, but I don't think that's what's in the heads of these people. I think, maybe internally they're having these discussions. They're probably coming to these realizations. It's like, listen, the economy has to be open, maybe, because look at the docket in this article of companies kind of like congregating amongst each other.
These are not blockchain native
these are not companies. These are not open, infrastructure organizations, right?
Yeah.
These are very centralized, highly controlled organizations that have like a total death grip on their users' ball sacks.
Still, my question still stands. Like, why now? And not 10 years ago, because we still had World of Warcraft. We still had
but that was so niche. WoW is like a fringe product, and it attracted fringe people, myself included. But we have things like Roblox and Minecraft. We have a whole generation we're like breeding. So to become users of this next.
So what you're saying is there's just a realization now, and it happens to correlate with like, crypto updates.
Yeah, and that's why I say there's like two. There's a separation, I think, in belief and in like I don't know, like execution. There's the centralized model and the open decentralized model. I think I don't think what's happening here
is exclusively like for crypto.
No, I don't think so. And I'm speaking more on those predictions. I mean,
I think you're right. I mean, what does Microsoft have? I mean, all these companies are involved in blockchain to a certain degree, right? Microsoft,
that's true.
NVIDIA, obviously with mining rigs.
Yeah.
Facebook, they've dabbled in crypto.
Yeah.
And so now with the transition from Facebook to Meta, Facebook is sort of almost feels like exclusively focused on the metaverse.
Yeah. And you said something interesting about like a lot of these companies added together. This is basically the force that mainstreamified the internet, right? Or the usage of it. So they probably have a deep understanding of, I guess,
the need for standardizations.
that, and to maybe to open it up, because I think the consensus of understanding is the metaverse is the next phase of the internet, right? It's the next way we interface with it and experience it. So maybe we shouldn't replicate how we built Web 2, right? Like much more like centralized operation in the hands of just.
Yeah, this has so many ties to like our previous conversations and in our previous videos that going back to, I'm going to try to analogize this. When the United States is considering Bitcoin as a competitor to the dollar, in my opinion, I think it's more it's a better outcome for the United States to support Bitcoin and not fight against it, because if they fight against it, they're going to end up losing, and there's no way to recover. So the analogy here is, it seems to me that supporting crypto and decentralization is probably going to be something that all these companies are going to be behind.
You think they already have that understanding, and like they recognize the threat?
Dude, remember when you and I are here talking about like all this stuff, there's got to be smart people in these in these companies saying the exact same thing as like, hey guys, I know that you grew up with Web 2.0 and owning everything, but this is where things are going, and we need to embrace this, or we're going to get left behind, like MySpace and like.
It's probably So they probably caught wind of this years ago. So I think every major company or organization has some sort of like risk analyst department or something like that, just to kind of like until they understand the markets, right? And so that way they could find their product market fits or whatever within it, time the markets right, and just maintain their position within them, right? So they've probably been discussing amongst themselves, listen, there's this whole decentralized movement happening. Obviously, it's just in opposition of the foothold, controlling of power, the dominance that we possess of now. As of now, it's like not really much to be like concerned about, right? The risk percentages is probably like in the single digits. Yeah. But as time goes by, this movement, this demographic, this community is accelerating in growth. Yeah. And there's development happening, and it's very disruptive potentially. So maybe it's gotten to this point where like, the Avengers have to assemble essentially and like address this fucking problem. Like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, let's create standards that it favor us and what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's happening here, I think, basically. I mean, because your companies, they have self-interest in mind. They don't want to lose these positions of control on society. Because I mean, it's debatable, the amount of control and power they have, over our entire civilization at this point, right? Like they mirror in strength to like governments, like top tier governments, right? Like as much influence they have over the people.
Yeah, they're bigger than most governments.
I would probably.
Yeah. I mean, I would say Facebook is bigger than most of the planet, really.
Yeah, and like the influence it has on like human behavior and stuff like that. So that's a whole different topic. But the point being, the reason why we're paying attention is because this Avenger Assembly event is in relation to things we've been advocating ourselves in the past, right? The fact that if we're going to have, even for like an ecosystem such as our own, MetaZone, right? Meta's creator economy, in order for these things to really become abundantly
prevalent
and applicable with like maximize the utility of them, there's going to need to be like an infrastructure layer supporting the whole damn thing, where just to make interoperability much more achievable, right? So that's been like on our minds for a while. Yeah. I wonder when it started. I'm trying to think. It's definitely been about a year. Right?
Yeah, it's about a year. I think,
and I wish I could pinpoint like that realization, right? Like.
Yeah, it's tough because, I mean, for the most part, Decentraland was the one that's been the most open of metaverses.
That's what it is, yeah. We built a product for a specific metaverse, right? And what we recognize, there's neighboring metaverses, but it's not so easy to integrate with all of them collectively have like a cohesive ecosystem, right? Like they all have different individual standards.
And we're talking about sustainability too, and thinking about the developers creating the cool content. They're not going to continue selecting silos all the time. Yep. It would be like if the internet was completely, segregated by networks and different operation standards. Then we wouldn't have the websites that we do. We wouldn't have the internet that we have right now. Yeah. And so the metaverse problem is very similar to the internet problem in the earlier days.
True.
And so we need those standards. And I feel like Facebook, Microsoft, and Nvidia, and there's tons of others.
They've just scroll down a little bit. We could see the list a little bit.
They've recognized this. They've recognized this early on because they were around before the internet and then after the internet.
Yeah.
For the most part. And so they know that the metaverse is going to need this standards to be developed.
Yeah, otherwise it's just going to be Meta creating their own silo, Microsoft creating their own silo, Nvidia creating their own silo, Unity, all these companies creating silos, and maybe, I don't know, they'll, at some point they'll find, ways to merge the ecosystems with one another. But why not, build it right from the inception point?
It just seems so odd when you look at these names like Wayfair and Qualcomm, Alibaba, like these aren't the companies you think of when you think of metaverse.
Exactly. But I think they all have a deep understanding of every entity is going to have some presence at some point. So why not? I guess.
Dude, but do you think Alibaba recognizes that?
I don't know. I mean, they're participating for something, right? Somebody must have convinced them of something. It's like, listen, you guys have a great foothold on products in your region of Earth.
Yeah.
You guys are the main distributor of these products. There's this whole thing where people are traversing into the virtual realm. Wouldn't you want to also maintain that distribution channel there? Alibaba. Something like that.
I feel like I want to say I hesitate that logic has entered Alibaba. Instead, it's more like it seems like they walk into the door, right? The analysts, they walk in, they say, it seems like Microsoft and Nvidia and Facebook are collaborating on this thing. We should probably participate. And then all of a sudden Alibaba's in. Yeah,
I mean, I think this is the first event that I guess the public has caught wind of. We all knew Facebook was up to something, and Microsoft made a huge acquisition, right, in Activision or Blizzard or something like that.
Right.
Was that them?
Yeah, it was Microsoft.
So we know they're making moves. Nvidia has been deeply ingrained in all this all along.
Yeah, since mining Bitcoin.
Exactly. So they're not going anywhere. So yeah, you're right. It's just everybody is seeing these companies
making
this move. So I think now it's just a pile-on effect. All these other outside entities,
FOMO.
It feels like FOMO.
Yeah,
they want to find out what's going on.
Yeah.
Right, so it literally is one of those scenes out of a movie where all the supervillains of the world just kind of meet up at the weird, most evil-looking headquarters.
Yeah.
To me, that's what I have envisioned. That's what this forum is. That's what I was asking you yesterday. Dude, what the fuck is a forum? Is it actually a forum board?
Or a huge circle round table?
Well, yeah, or is it they're gonna open up a 2001 web page where it's just Microsoft creates a user profile, and then Unity does, and then they're just hey guys,
they have
what's
a
up,
handle.
Exactly. I doubt that's the forum I'm used to, but I think this is more like a congregation, right?
It's more like a
conference of some kind.
Yeah, it's a little bit more formal than just
a G20 or something like that, an economic forum where I don't know, nation states of global interest meet and discuss, right? So that's what we're witnessing here. And it's wild for a few reasons, right? Because one, the topic of discussion is shit that we've been talking about for over a year. That's cool.
Yeah.
For two, it's just more validation, right? That we're in the right steps, right path, and that it's validating all these initial assumptions we had. That's cool. Number two, right now we're in a market bearish sentiment, right? So it's kind of hard for people to find glimmers of hopium and stuff like that. So if you're involved in the metaverse, what more do you need to see?
Yeah.
As far as to extract some future hope for yourself, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what this reminds me of is, remember when blockchain was the buzzword
of last cycle?
Of the last cycle, yeah. And these drink companies started announcing that they were integrating blockchain, and all of a sudden their stock prices go up.
Yeah, that was the days were ticking for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it feels kind of like that right now, where these companies like IKEA and Wayfair, they're saying that they're going to be part of the metaverse just so they stay relevant in the discussions, because so many people, everybody was talking about the metaverse at a certain point. Especially when Zuckerberg changed their names, what is the metaverse? That was the most asked question on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a little bit about, what's going on here. But nonetheless, there's purposes. There's an actual value to be extracted here. So they have a huge list of companies. Like
It's pretty long, yeah.
like it's crazy. Pare Research and Consulting. What is
What
is that?
It
What
says
is-
to foster the development of open standards for the metaverse. All these people.
So yeah, I mean
When's the last time you seen like a conglomerate effort to
Yeah.
do something like this? Like I can't think of one in my lifetime, you know?
I don't think so either.
So it's actually like kind of alarming in a sense. It's like
It's like
this is one hell of like a group effort. Like
it feels like we're being invaded by aliens, and all of a sudden all the countries start collaborating.
something like that, yeah. Or
Yeah.
like this is at the scale of like building pyramids back in prehistoric times. It's like these are like the greatest assembly of efforts to create like a virtual pyramid, which is like it is going to be that much of a collective effort though
It
to
is.
build the metaverse. The metaverse is that complex and complicated as a concept.
Yeah,
It really is going to be like a collaborative effort. Like it's
yeah.
it's not going to be like some company just figures it out.
Yeah, absolutely
what I mean?
not.
Yeah.
It says here, the metaverse will bring together diverse technologies requiring a constellation of interoperability standards created and maintained by many standards organizations. The Metaverse Standards Forum is a unique venue for coordination between standards organizations and industry, with a mission to foster the pragmatic and timely standardization that will be essential to an open and inclusive metaverse.
See, that's interesting because they're using our buzzwords now. This is like
Yeah.
what we say on the decentralized front, right? We're the
Yes.
ones actually building in an existing open and inclusive metaverse, right?
Yeah, I mean,
They are not. Roblox VR is not an open and
Yeah.
inclusive metaverse, or what the fuck I'm talking about, like Minecraft VR, whatever.
this I feel like this happens so often is, especially in crypto, people misuse and take advantage of the definitions of words.
Yeah.
Like how is Roblox going to be an open and inclusive metaverse?
I guess in the sense like it's open to developers to access and leverage, right? But still, it's not unless these things, migrate to our side.
But there's still silos though.
I know it's silos and controlled by
Yeah, exactly.
list of companies above, right?
Yeah.
These are the things I think the public in the traditional sphere is probably not going to understand until
No, they're not.
late in the game.
Yeah.
Once it becomes a problem, like
Once Roblox gets hacked and all of a sudden everybody's users' information is get compromised.
that or like when creators are just getting banned because of
That's right.
some sort of like ideological principle behind their creation or something like that the company
Right.
doesn't support. We're seeing this today
Yeah.
in social media and stuff like that. So
And it
people
seems to
are
me
just now becoming aware that's a problem, right?
right, dude. And it took 30 years.
Exactly. So more than likely these, because this is a superpower effort, like, and they have all the resources in the world under their control, they're going to get to that stage of standards and frameworks probably quicker than anybody else. Right?
Yeah.
It's because it's just not a fair race, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
So it seems to me that there's going to be two groups forming, right? The actual open metaverse, and then these guys who claim open metaverse.
Yep.
Man, that's
I've always seen it like that. Yeah. And that's why like all these predictions, that's why I never like thought they even acknowledge our presence, like the stuff that we're doing in the blockchain
then
space.
if that's the case, then how are we going to develop standards when we have two different approaches to what an open metaverse should be?
Well, we've been building open standards, all of blockchain, all of on-chain identity standards and
That's
things
true.
like this.
By ourselves.
All these protocols that have spun up over the last 5 years or so since Ethereum incepted, essentially, like
Right.
these are the primitives of the standards of the future, right? And as far as metaverse goes, we're just going to continue down that path, right? Just to continue creating these additional primitives for the metaverse,
Right.
That's
right.
connected to the existing ones, right?
So essentially, we're going to have two different standards.
Two different like ecosystems, yeah.
Yeah, ecosystems.
Worlds, whatever you want to call it, yeah. And it's going to be left up to the participants, the human population, which one they want to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
That's true. I mean, they're not. These standards are not exclusive to one side or another. I mean, we can all leverage the same standards, but we have built and designed our ecosystems to be actually open and inclusive, meaning that not only the content is interoperable between open worlds, but we have developers coming in and making content that is accessible in multiple worlds.
Yeah.
Which, in the case of Roblox, you cannot have that.
and we're allowing the community really to take like a center stage as far as like in things that companies listed above would never consider, like allowing their communities to take center stage control over things like content moderation. You know, things like development progress of
Such
a
a good
protocol.
point.
These are things like these traditional companies would never consider exploring because it interferes with their business protocol.
That's right.
You know, this is what I mean by two different approaches, right? Like we have our way of building, and they have theirs.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's just two competing ecosystems for sure. And
Yeah, I feel like they bring a lot of baggage from being so successful in Web 2.0 that they're going to try to bring like previous business models, and it potentially might not work for them. It potentially, but Roblox, I mean, obviously Minecraft and all these have been super successful.
Yeah.
But the climate has changed.
Yeah.
There are actually open ways to build content now because of blockchain.
Yeah.
And so now, like you're saying, the end user is going to have to choose like which sort of environment they prefer to be in.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be interesting. So they have here a website. It's called the Metaverse Standards Forum. Completely free to join. I think we should join.
Okay.
And just to keep up with the conversations here, but yeah, there's a forum here. There's a bunch of companies obviously who have joined, and the good thing is that it's free. So
very cool.
Yeah. So help us build the open metaverse, they say.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to keep an eye on this. And yeah, if you guys are interested in following the progress of the metaverse and like, yeah, let's keep an eye on what these guys are doing too with us, just so we can know what's happening, you know, definitely follow this channel.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to be probably the majority of our content is going to be in this realm of discussion, you know.
Yeah, and actually, you know, do our best to break this down, because this paints a pretty picture, but you know, when you really actually analyze it, they could be doing their own thing, and crypto does their own thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so make sure you like and subscribe this video, and follow us on Twitter at the Block Runner and also at MetaZone.io, and we will catch you in the next video.
Peace.